All right, welcome back to the Royally Unapologetic podcast, where we are talking all about building brands that make people pleasers clutch their pearls and dream clients say, oh, hell yes, take my money. Let's get into it. All right, I am back with another little peek behind the curtain on how I am doubling my monthly recurring revenue. In the previous episodes, we've talked about things like girl math, doing an offer audit, looking at your actual capacity, passive marketing, different options that go into that. And today we're talking about the obvious, which is what everyone thinks of when they decide to increase their revenue. They're like, oh, I need to increase my revenue, therefore I should increase my prices. And that is something that I have personally done. I actually raised my prices quite drastically, but it is my opinion that if you are going to raise your prices, you should be looking at more than just your experience. Because absolutely, if you've gained a lot of experience, you should definitely be raising your prices because that is literally valuable as fuck. But a lot of the time, what I see happen is people will literally tell their clients or their potential clients that they're pitching to and try to justify their prices by being like, oh, well, my rent's expensive or my rent went up or the economy sucks and so you need to pay me more. Bitch, please. That is literally happening to every single one of us, and that is a shitty excuse for raising your prices. That is not justifiable to the client. If you are going to raise your prices, you need to make sure that it is a benefit to them, that it is worth it to them. So yes, I'm still going to agree and say that you need to be raising your rates as you're gaining experience. However, that's not the only reason that you should be raising your rates. That's not the only justification that you should be giving to raising your rates. Because if your client experience, your automations, your portals, all that stuff, if that is still shit, if it's still clunky, if it's still messy, if it's still confusing, then you shouldn't be raising your rates that drastically, even if your experience is really high quality. So we're going to get into some of the things that I personally have looked at and evaluated as I have chosen to raise my prices. Number one is literally what we just talked about. It is the experience, the results, and the deliverables. So yes, obviously now I have more experience, and not just with designing websites. Like, yeah, I've designed a bunch of websites this year. That's great. I have more experience. However, I've also integrated growth consulting into my offer suite, and now I have experience with that underneath my belt. I've been able to help clients increase their revenue, streamline their operations, create new offers, improve and optimize their marketing, and a whole host of other things inside my growth consulting container. And that directly improves my ability to design websites outside of just the designing websites experience that I have. It also allows me to develop better strategies for my client's CEO mommy rap sheet that they get at the end of the project, which is essentially like a little culmination of all of my ideas around their brand positioning, offers, different opportunities for growth, ways that they can implement funnels, maybe even freebies. It's just like a whole host of things that go through my brain as a growth consultant when I'm designing their website. On top of that, I have also read a lot more books this year on psychology, sales, business, all sorts of different things. I've also gone to events that have taught me more about business, have given me more resources to provide my clients, which makes for an overall better experience for them. And on top of that, so many of my clients have gone on to drastically increase their rates, overall increase their revenue, get booked out months in advance, and have access to new opportunities, refine their clients, refine their client base, and overall scale their businesses in more ways than one, aka proof is in the pudding. I have the results. I have the proof. So I have the experience, the results, and the deliverables area that I've looked at as a justification for increasing my prices. Number two, I don't even know if I said number one before, but we're just going to move on to number two, which is improved client portals. My client portals got a makeover. So not only do they just look better, like they're gorgeous and they're updated with my new branding because I went through a rebrand and didn't tell anybody about it. If you're on my email list, you would know. But if you're not, you should get on there because I've got lots of tea around all these things that you're learning on the podcast episodes, as well as a bunch of personal stories and a whole bunch of juicy goodness. Not so subtle plug. Anyway, so not only do my client portals look better, they also perform better. They weren't bad before, but they needed a little bit of love because there were certain aspects of my portals that were getting to be a little bit overwhelming for certain clients. So what I did was not only did I make them look better, but I also broke down each of the sections into more digestible, easier to understand bite-sized pieces so that my clients can go through and essentially go section by section and complete all the tasks in that section within a shorter amount of time, even though it's the same amount of pre-work that needs to be done. And it's a pretty beefy amount of pre-work. There's a lot to do in order for me to hit an expedited timeline with my website in a week offer. But because I've broken it down into bite-sized chunks and made it a lot more digestible, it's easier for my clients to go into that and not feel overwhelmed and not be like, holy shit, there's so much for me to do. They can take it step by step and get little tiny bits of the process as they go through. And then that's just going to help them maintain their schedule, not get overwhelmed, and just feel a whole lot better about the process. Number 3 is idleness aversion and automation improvements. So as I get booked out further and further in advance, my clients are having longer and longer wait times to actually start the project with me from when they book to when we actually start. And what I have realized is that I am now having this additional problem due to that wait time, which is idleness aversion, aka people get bored, they forget about you, they forget about their deliverables, or they just lose their luster, they lose their excitement for the project because there's such a long wait time. And there's not like a ton of interaction from you during that time. There's not always a whole lot for them to do. So the way that I'm personally combating this is that I have changed some of the deliverables to be given in a different form and delivered via email instead of just in the client portal. Because if the client is like, okay, cool, like I'm going to get started, get in the client portal, do a couple things, then they have this gap in time where they kind of forget about the portal, they're not going to get in there and continue with the work. So what I've done is I have taken a couple of the deliverables, I've reformatted them into something different so that they run through my CRM instead of something separate. And then they can be delivered via email. So not only are they getting the homework in a different form, in a way that's being delivered directly to them rather than them having to go to the portal to find it, they're also getting an additional touch point from me. And I have emails that deliver that stuff that are a little bit more exciting. They're fun. They're keeping the energy up high and keeping those touch points alive so that they are not sitting idle. They're not getting bored. They're not losing their luster and excitement for the project. And on top of that, I have also added reminder emails into that sequence that just go out automatically that, again, keep that excitement alive, allow me to touch base with my clients, and keep them on track to getting their deliverables done on time. So not only does that make my clients' life a whole lot easier, it makes their excitement for the project stay maintained, maybe gets their ideas going, get some creative juices flowing, but it also makes my life easier as the service provider because they're actually getting their stuff done on time, which is typically not a problem for my clients. My clients are so self-led and so accountable, but the further and further out I get booked, the more my clients have to wait. And sometimes life gets in the way, holidays are coming up, all that good stuff. So no fault on them if they forget once in a while, but that's what that's there for. Number 4, and the final one that we're going to talk about today, is offer inclusion. So I have gone ahead and restructured my offers ever so slightly as I have repriced them. And essentially now I have 3 tiers of website in a week, which is the only thing design-wise that I do. All of my website in a week projects include a branding refresh. I added that a little while ago because I have found that some clients don't fully understand what branding is. And then they come to me and they're like, hey, I don't need branding. I just need a website. And then I ask for their brand assets and they don't have any. So built that in there a while ago. So that's semi new. But what I've also done is I have made copy part of the project. What I have found is that so many clients need copywriting done, and there's a couple different options. So you can either hire me as part of the project fee in either the single page or a multi-page, which is considered the top shelf shit when it has copywriting in there, or you can DIY it or hire a copywriter for it. And I have a bunch of copywriter recommendations that I give to my clients. I have a couple different partnerships that I work with copywriters on. I have personally vetted all of them because I have such a short attention span that I'm not going to read anything. So what I have done in this vetting process is that if they can hold my attention, they can hold literally anybody's attention. Every single copywriter that I recommend can hold my attention. So that's an additional resource for my clients that I absolutely love to give. I have a whole host of alternative service recommendations, from copywriters to bookkeepers to virtual assistants to marketers to social media managers, all sorts of different resources that I provide for my clients. And they're broken into categories now, so it's a lot easier for them to digest and easily go in there and find what they need. But back to the copywriting, as I get all frazzled and confused here. Back to the copywriting. So now I have that as a part of the project. So like I said, they can either have me write it for them. I have a whole host of different things that I do to extract that information from my clients. I have some additional resources for myself that allow me to do a much better job, which I'm so excited about. But that increases the value of the website that I'm delivering, and it's included in the offer now. So then that, of course, affects the price. So, like I said, I have restructured my offer slightly. I've added these additional things to the client portals, to the deliverables, to the inclusions, and things like that. And all of this goes into how I'm able to price this, how I'm able to value it. So, not only are the deliverables and the client experience vastly improved, and therefore their value increased, but my skills have also improved. I have improved in multiple different areas, not just in the experience that I have, but in the education that I've given myself or have gotten from others. I've improved the client experience in terms of addressing that idleness aversion problem and keeping my clients on track. And like I said in the beginning too, I have the proof in the pudding. So I have this additional value output that my clients get when they work with me. So yeah, they're not just getting a really pretty website, they're actually getting a website that drives proven results in terms of increasing their rates, increasing their income, refining their client base. That's a huge one for my clients that I love so much and not a lot of web designers address. So that's something that my clients get from me that they cannot get anywhere else. So those are 4 of the things that I looked at when I was considering raising my prices, and now I have those to back up and justify the new pricing that I have, because raising your prices is definitely a great way to increase your recurring revenue, which is again one of the strategies that I have implemented. However, it's not the only thing that you need to look at, and it's not something that you can just slap a number on and hope for the best or increase without any justification. You need to have increased experience in your space. You need to have an improved client experience. You need to have these other things that you're looking at in order to justify the pricing so that it's actually worth it to your clients, so that they are more easily going to convert. Because like I said, that excuse of your rent getting raised or the economy sucking, like that is not enough. That is not on your clients to provide for you. So if you are also trying to double your monthly recurring revenue, I strongly encourage you to look at these 4 different areas when you're considering increasing your rates, because you absolutely deserve to charge what you're worth. But again, we always want to make sure that it comes back to the client and what are they getting out of it? What is your service to them looking like? What is it actually value, or what is the actual value to them? So if this was helpful, if you liked this episode, please rate and review the show. Shoot me a DM on Instagram, share it with a business bestie, and I will see you guys in the next one.